onları yerle bir etmek için buradayım.
Alles stand in Flammen. Aber jetzt ist die Zeit für Rache.
Napotkáme z této rozhodně neznačí, jednak těm razem nesmí postřelovat.
¿Qué le vamos a dar al resto? ¿Qué punto brilla?
Karmine Corp have done it. Back-to-back EU Masters champions.
Il vous a manqué. Il est temps de reprendre ce qui nous appartient.
And welcome everyone to the grand finals of EMEA Masters 2023 summer season, live from Sud de France Arena in Montpellier, Occitanie. Today we kick off the weekend with home favorite Karmine Corp facing up against the Spanish super rival Movistar riders before the NEC takes over tomorrow and on Sunday. And for today, I will be your host, Amlo, joined by Trouble, Yamato, and Dagda. I'm so happy.
Holy moly, the crowd! It is nuts! Holy moly!
If you guys never experienced an event with Karmine Corp, get ready for it. It is going to be insane. We need to look at that. Do you realize
What do you mean? Seiken just showed on screen
Right?
for a second and they went, wow, I can't believe what's going to happen when he actually walks on the stage.
It's going to be an amazing finals. At least we hope. But before we get into this, let's recap what happened in the competition before that and how both teams made it. Starting with the groups, I believe best of one. Both teams finished with a 3-3 record in their group, with Casey needing a tiebreaker to make it. I don't know how they're going to go through. Pretty sure
They made it so dramatic.
Right?
They made it so dramatic. They lost games. They played Tryndamere. They lost to the GP. Everyone was nervous, but that's the show that you jump on the show. They need to make it dramatic because the KC fans, they think the EMEA Masters is a given for them.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. I just want to remind people that even when they won, back when they came through play-ins, no one expected them to win. No one expected them to even make it into EMEA Masters. They made it through play-ins all the way to champions again.
Yeah, and I think the big one is, I mean, going 3-3 seems to be the secret sauce because when we look towards the playoffs, that's where we really got to see these teams pop off, right? Movistar Riders going undefeated on the top of the bracket. You have Karmine Corp with a very tough time against Istanbul Wildcats, but they were able to take it in the end.
I mean, that's the thing, right? When you look at the group stage and best of one and how things went for both teams, I don't think we could have expected these teams to be the tournament favorites. And then when the knockout stage, where I think Casey knocking out the undefeated Istanbul Wildcats, for me was the most expected one here. But also the way that the Spanish team has been ramping up so far up until reaching finals has been impressive, Yamato.
I think the trend for both of these teams are just in the best of fives. Regionally, they were also super sharp in the best of fives, and the experience and the willingness to really perform under pressure has really delivered in the kind of knockout stage.
And I want to give a little bit of an 0-7 GTZ, the Portuguese team, making it all the way to quarterfinals, making history, match goal, making semifinals, making history, not only for the org, but PG Nats as well. And of course, GO tried their best one more time, falling short to K-Corp.
They tried their best. But yeah, as we said, I mean, I feel like at every iteration of EMEA Masters, we have new regions becoming stronger and stronger. You were mentioning Italy. What was the highlight for you of EMEA Masters so far when you think of both teams we have in finals today? Like
I mean, can I lie? I just go here.
No,
I mean, this is nuts. But honestly, yeah, I think a huge amount of this is kind of, as you say, seeing these teams set up. Natives for me is the big one. The Irish team that managed to come in and we actually were relevant for a little bit of time on the esports stage. That was always good to see.
And it all comes down to this, right? The LVP, one of the strongest regions we had initially versus the NFL. But when you look at the LVP and Superliga and how things went for them, 4 years separate the first titles they got to the last one they had last year with Team Heretics grabbing the trophy in summer. What happened to this region? Because when you look at the players coming from Superliga, usually they are really successful players in the LEC. What happened for this region for the past years, Dagda?
Yeah, it seems to be just a case of having so much of these. The talent that initially was there were like Mad Lions back in like 2018 summer. You had like Origin, who were there in 2018 spring, right as EMEA Masters kicked off. But we kind of got to see a lot of this talent picked up by the LEC. Like you saw Nemesis moved on. We got players like Aljoy that were moving on from the Spanish league. And bit by bit, the region kind of got, well, they got sabotaged. They got all their everything stolen.
You can call me guilty.
The LFL.
You can call me guilty because I just took the championship winning team, the Giants roster. I made it my own. Jizuke, Gilius, Jacktro, Attila. Keep Kaboshad in there. But that was the boys that I stole from the LVP.
And when you look at this, I think Movistar Riders already made history, but making it to finals, now they're one step away from grabbing the trophy. And when you look at this team, they had the most appearances at EMEA Masters Trouble, and overcoming K-Corp usually, I feel like would be the peak achievement for the region, but also following up on what Heretics tried to bring back to former glory for the region.
I just want to say the Movistar Riders history started in 2017 with their first ever competitive tournament in Montpellier, where we are right now, and it would only make sense to remake history by winning their first title here too.
And who is best to talk about Movistar Riders than their junglers himself, Isma. Bienvenue.
Merci. Ça va bien, ça va bien.
What do you think about the crowd, about the audience, about everything so far?
It's pretty insane, not gonna lie.
Right?
I mean, we were warming up, it was pretty insane. I can't wait to play.
It's actually really funny for you because, okay, we're gonna do our best here.
Yes, no problem.
You're a French player playing for the opposition, playing for Spain today. How does that make you feel?
I don't know what to expect. I mean, I expect to be the kind of the villain, you know, of the series.
Yeah.
The people don't want to cheer for. But as I said, I mean, we are kind of used to. It was like this as well in LVP, so I'm really excited to play. Like, really, really excited to play.
Fantastic.
Isma, I just want to remind that this crowd is French.
Yes.
So even though you could be the villain today, I'm sure that they have a backup plan with you. They're like, hey, maybe K-Corp loses, but we have a French player on the other hand side. Now, of course, that's not only the case. You're coming in as the strongest jungler of the two. Does that put any pressure on you?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, I know I did my work. I know I did good. So I'm really confident, to be honest. And I can't wait to show it.
Wow. What is your resolution coming in today?
My resolution?
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, I would like to have a good final, so 3-2 for the fan and stuff. But not gonna lie, I am 3-0 fast, and that's it.
Fast 3-0, that's it.
I need to ask, now with everything is like a melting pot now. You've been playing these tournaments offline, and now you're coming, of course, here into this venue. Do you think it's going to give you guys, are you in the mental state where it's an edge for you?
I mean, we are kind of used to the crowds because we did 2 finals. I mean, I did 3 in front of kind of big crowd, but not that much. But so we are kind of used to. We already won 2 finals. We like it. We are better kind of under pressure and when there is people. So
very good to hear.
You guys had a really smooth sailing, a really cool journey through the knockout stage, not really losing and being ahead most of the time.
Yes.
What makes you think that it's going to stay like this today? I know you can't say too much because you want to keep the breath, but still.
I mean, as I said previously, I think we did good on the scrim. I mean, Trophy of the Year in the summer split, we had up and downs, but I think now we are really in a really, really good state. Maybe it won't be 3-0, but I'm really confident on all of my team.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's versus KC or whatever, I'm really, really confident.
Perfect.
I'm really, really confident.
I want to ask, in the Thai tournament, we've been seeing the Maokais, the Ivans, the tank, the boring junglers. Do you think are you going to peel off the layer and maybe force Syncroft to play something that is mechanical and maybe test him out there, or just secrets all alone?
I don't think. I think Syncroft will keep playing Ivern and Maokai. I don't think he's good enough to play Mechanical Champion.
All right.
I love it.
Okay, I'm loving the jungle rivalry because that was my question. Last time I asked, I was like, hey, you're one of the very few teams that actually you find a getaway to play through the top side of the map, like through mid or through top that you've done before. Do you see potentially an avenue? I'm just going to say, the crowd cannot hear us right now, so you can say whatever you want. Do you see an avenue of playing through your top lane that's extremely skilled mechanically?
I think it's gonna be most of the time I will be bot side. Not gonna lie.
Level 3 bot.
Yeah.
Unless you're forced.
Unless I'm forced.
Okay.
Unless it's really the lava bot, maybe I come top. But most likely I will be bot.
Oh, R.I.P. Maki.
Isma, we don't want to take too much time for you. It's already really nice that you took the time to come to the deck. So best of luck today.
Thank you.
Have fun. And I hope you have a good time.
All the best.
Bye.
Enjoy.
Thank you. I love the confidence coming from this player, but also this team. I love it when players take the role of the villain like this. And also, strong words coming from his matchup in the jungle against Syncroft. I didn't expect this from him, honestly.
I asked him, I was like, hey, you're coming in as the strongest jungler. Like, technically speaking, through what we've seen, and also stats-wise, he is coming in as the strongest jungler and the most versatile. To see him be there and like, nah, he's not going to pick any mechanically strong champ. He's just the dog of K-Corp, you know?
Just dog champs.
Yes, dog champs.
But it must not be easy, honestly, coming when you look at the arena, massively K-Corp favored so far. But I feel like this is what is going to fuel him, because when you look at the LFL, this era of domination, 5 titles between 2019 and 2022, but no titles in the past 2 events, Yamato. What happened to the LFL? It feels like it's no K-Corp, no party, actually.
That's what it seems like. A couple of players, of course, they go over to the LEC. We mentioned that the crowd is something that favors the LFL, but it's also the history. Ever since the beginning, we've had a lot of known players back in 2019 in the Misfits roster. The LDLC players, it's like I'm thinking of Yike. You have so many players that have gone over to the LEC.
Yeah.
And then Karmine Corp has been such a vital part of the story of the LFL's growth. It started with them being in LFL 2 and then jumping in, of course, with the Adam roster, and then all of a sudden winning and making a name for themselves that echoed throughout the halls of League of Legends beyond what the RL's been. It's a team that everybody knows of.
And I think it's far beyond if KC is not here, LFL doesn't win. If KC is not here, it feels like the winners that we've had in the past don't necessarily feel as if they're pushed to their highest standards if KC is not here. Wildcats, Heretics were like, yeah, they won, but they didn't beat the final boss. And now Movistar have the chance to do that for themselves.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hello.
Smooth.
I have a point for you. The LVP won the last 4 best-of-5s against the LFL at EM Masters. Is it a bad omen for the region today?
It's hard to say, right? There's a couple of different things that are working against Karmine Corp. Even the fact that, as you were saying, I think earlier on, it was like they haven't won a tournament online, or offline even, I should say, where they've been actually in the best of 5 on a stage. So this is going to be a big test for them. But I do think as well, like looking at the incredible performance we've seen from the LFL, it has started to diminish. Like, let's be real. Last split, we had Heretics who won. Then in spring this year, we ended up with Istanbul Wildcats who ended up taking over as well. Like, we have seen other regions rise up, and it feels like LVP now, the old dog is now coming back, roaring into this to see if they can then take it from the LFL once more.
That's the thing. Can they do it? Because KC never lost a best-of-5s in EMEA Masters history, but they never had to beat an LVP team to do so. But when you look at this trouble, among all the KC players over the years, there is one consistent member who's been through all their success, who's been with all the lineups. Seiken, of course.
I was about to say, does his name start with an F?
An F, an S, FLICKR, baby FLICKR, baby Seiken. This player has seen it all, and he stayed with the team, and he's been a key factor to K-Corp victory over the years.
Back in 2021, we got to know KC over in the ERL, so it was my first time ever casting a final, and this guy was there, K-Corp was there. That's when the domination began. Him bringing out his Azirs, his infamous Rise that he's played over and over again. The fact that he can draw so many bans. We've seen so many games with 5 bans directed towards Seiken, shows the caliber of a player that he has and how feared he is from his opposition.
I had the pleasure of working with him. He subbed in and delivered right away. I feel this is a player that just delivers under pressure. And now he has won 3 titles. Every time when I was reviewing the K-Corp games, all the fans told me when I criticized Saken, you wait for EMEA Masters. And I waited, and he delivered. The bans are coming his way, as you mentioned, and he just keeps delivering. He keeps performing. And I love the fact that, everything just points to the fact that this is his tournament.
It is his crowd. It is his tournament for sure. What makes Seiken special, Dagda, would you say, when you think of K-Corp and the fact that, again, he stayed the consistent and key member for the lineup, but what defines him?
But I think it is that consistency. I think he is the core. You see them play through him with Targamas running, with Syncroft playing. This guy is the heart and soul of this roster, and now he stands on the stage for his 4th potential title. This man owns EMEA Masters, and as we've already said, if you don't beat Seiken, you don't get to win the title. And now, on the doorstep of that, you have to take down this man once more.
Can they overcome? We will see about this in just a few minutes. But before that, Trouble, you caught up with the man in the mid lane earlier today, so let's listen to what he had to say.
I'm here with Seiken ahead of the huge EMEA Masters final in Montpellier. Seiken, how do you feel?
Hi, I feel really good right now. I'm so happy to be there to play the final. So yeah, let's go.
You're one of the most storied players when it comes to EMEA Masters K-Corp, the whole ERL system. And you're the only one who's chasing their 4th consecutive title in a row.
Yeah, I'm the only one for now, so I really want to win 4 times. You know, it will mean a lot for EMEA and for me as well. So I have to give it all tonight, and the team will do the rest, and we are gonna win. I think. I believe it.
Well, to get here, you had to walk through the arena, and you saw there's like a lot of people, and I'm gonna guess that majority of these people are gonna be K-Corp fans out there. Does that add any pressure having to play in front of such a huge crowd that's cheering for you?
No, we are used to K-Corp fans. They are always there for us, cheering for us at events. So no, it's just easier for us if you have them with us. It's so good. They give so much energy for us. So I just love it. So I can't wait.
Can't wait to see the energy when you guys step on the stage. But you say they make it easier for you. I'm going to tell you who's not going to make it very easy. It is going to be the Superliga. They actually have you guys on the last 4 best of 5s that the Superliga played against the LFL. They've won all 4 of them. So how do you see today's match going?
It's final today. So I never lost EMEA final for now. I don't expect to lose right now. So even if they won against other French teams, it's not the same. We are K-Corp. We don't lose in finals, so we're going to win tonight.
You don't lose in general when you guys go into the playoffs at EMEA Masters. You are the final boss. So if they want to win, they have to go through you, and you guys never make it very easy. Now, which are a little bit earlier, and I asked you about 2 very special suspects for K-Corp. You've been there for like such a long time, and people come and go. But there's 2 particular members that returned this year. What helped in the development with these 2 joining, of course, being Synchro and Targamas?
I mean, we know each other since a really long time with Synchro and Targamas. We are really good friends outside of the game as well. So it's helped a lot when we have issues in games and we have struggles. So they came in and made the team way better. So I'm really happy to play with them tonight.
Well, can't wait to see you guys play together again, potentially winning another title together. Now, Seiken, last quick question, which I had a little bit earlier, and I was like, I'm surprised I haven't seen you in like leagues like the LEC and the LCS, and you told me that you weren't necessarily approached. Do you think that winning this title, proving that you are the king of the ERLs, holding 4 titles, potentially after a win here, will give you that breakthrough?
I don't know. To be honest, I'm not waiting for it anymore. So I'm just doing it for me and for K-Corp right now. I just want to win for myself and K-Corp, that's it. I'm not waiting for anything else for the moment right now.
And personal goals are great to hit, Seiken. Yeah. I wish you best of luck in this final. I wish you best of luck on the chase of your 4th title. And I'm going to throw it back to us on the desk.
It is Seiken's league, and we're happy to watch it. Honestly, amazing confidence again on the side of the French mid laner. And I want to keep on talking about solo lanes, but talk about Kabo this time around, because Yamato, you know the boy in the top lane. You've been working with him for years. What can we expect on this side? Of course, he's been playing the Renekton a lot, and we know that you want a blind top lane right now, so it makes sense that he would be put on this kind of champions, but is he going to bring the I'm French to the Renekton again today?
we will have to see. We will have to see. The Renekton, of course, for both players today has been a massive pick in terms of how you play, how you connect. The games are so fast and so rushed, but I feel like the edge that Cabo has is the fact that, what do you pick into Renekton? It's all about the tanks, and that is something that maybe gives Cabo the edge here, because I think in terms of the answers to Renekton, that is going to be an important layer to this.
And I feel like you heard Isma say it. He's like, hey guys, if you're looking for me, if my team is looking for me, I'll be down bot lane. Renekton's one of these champions that's so self-sufficient, great wave play, his trades are great, he does great into tanks, and also, if your bot side of the map goes wrong, you have a gateway to play for that Renekton and potentially create that split push scenario.
But especially for players like Marky, when we look at the way Movistar Riders likes to play, it's, hey, we want to get that control in top lane with the Renekton and then start to group up, very quickly collapse onto mid lane, and they're more than happy to drop an entire lane and just go, we are playing off these 2 lanes, and we're just continuously going to play off of mid lane. So I think that's going to be a large portion of what they're going to look for here coming into these, alongside some of the other pocket picks that we might see along the way.
I mean, that's the thing, when you look at Movistar Riders and the way they advanced to the knockout stage, they were ready when it comes to draft. Every single time, kept on innovating, stay ahead of their opponents. But can they do it also against K-Corp, who keeps on bringing new picks, but also pocket picks in the likes of Rise, as we saw?
No, for sure. The Rise is such a classic. I was reviewing this game on my stream, actually. It was funny because Jizuke and Saken were there, and Jizuke said, yo, you had a good Rise performance. good to look at in totality. I think that's going to be the key matchup. You know, always with players that are so experienced. We mentioned Cabo already. Sakin the same. He's just so much experience, and it shows when he can bust out champions like this.
Yeah, I love the fact that he's able to like utilize these ultimates, like reposition in fights, get a tank into a position that he needs to, or even just move himself into a position that he wants to. But I mean, he is going up against Isma, and we are well aware of how often this Nocturne has been banned against him. This guy is a menace on it, and the fact that we're already saying, hey, this is a team that likes to quickly group, likes to try and pick you off. This is the perfect opportunity for you to have that Nocturne, play alongside those side competitions that Movistar like to go to, and constantly threaten you every time you try to approach away.
And for me, that's where it's going to be important, especially when you're on the side of KC, because Isma, king of the early game in the jungle, but when you think of Synchro trouble, maybe a different journey for the jungler and something he has to be worried about today.
I feel absolutely. This is the magic in general of ERLs and of League of Legends. The fact that you have two junglers doesn't mean they play the exact same playstyle. I feel Synchro has been the facilitator for the longest time, especially when he's played in KC paired up with Targamas. That duo is what rose them to the top back in 2021 as well.
Speaking of dynamic duos, you know, we talked about Pocket Picks, we talked about how Isma's going to gank the bot lane, the Nyla and the Senna. You know, Targamas has been hovering this champion for so ever. Yeah. It was a secret bot lane, you know, Targamas classic. You know, this 2v2 kill was so cheeky, but, you know, the fact that you can bring these things out, you know, you are allowed to take more risks, you know, and in those risks you find more about yourself, because as the series progressed, they were picking Nyla 1, 2, 3 and just forcing the strangest bans out of the opposition.
I feel like what I remember from Targamas, especially when he played in the LEC, is how he always found these experienced leads when it came to team fights over at the Rift Herald. And this is what Nila gives you. Nila gives 50% more experience when you share. So the fact that we saw a bunch of team fights and the Nila was level 6 when the jungle was approaching and the bottom was level 5 was the defining factor in these 2v2 skirmishes. And I feel also the fact that you have to ban two champions that pair up so well with Nila, which is the Sen and the Taric, leaves up an entire pool potentially elsewhere on the map that doesn't get trimmed down.
It's also just that it gives you so many answers to what's strong at the moment, right? You try to pick an Alistar, well, here's Nila Senna, what the hell are you going to do about it? It's like, it causes so many issues in draft, and it's things that we see from like teams like G2 and the LEC as well, that just make it such a threat coming in. I think that's what makes it so exciting to see Karmine Corp bringing out these kind of picks, is going, hey, yes, you have to do your regular bans, but now you've got another wrench in the work you have to deal with, and we right now haven't seen a team that's able to deal with this.
All right, let's take a closer look at both teams and how they usually play, because when you look at Movistar Riders, 6-0 in the knockout stage so far. But the question I'm asking in this moment is that if they keep on grabbing leads in the early game and snowballing from this, are they going to be able to do it today? And what made them success so far, Yamato?
I think this has just been their biggest strength. I think Isma has been very, very good at finding gank timers. This is what the jungle meta is about. And I think how they transfer their leads in terms of how they play, it's all about making sure that they connect, because when one person commits, you know that there's going to be 5 Movistar players in that fight no matter what. Very sharp with the TPs, very sharp with the fight timers, and they always commit. Whether it's a bad play or a good play, it makes it into more good plays more often.
But I'm not going to lie, like every time I watch Movistar play, I'm like, wait, there's only 5 people? Because it seems like 6, 7, 8 people are coming out of the woodwork.
Coming in, you know, everybody.
Where did you get here? But it works so well, and I think that's why we see them at such high like kills in the early stages, because it's plays like this where they're like, hey, look, we're going to very quickly just jump on mid lane. We'll even have like our support Alvaro just sit in mid lane for like a minute and a half. He'll just see if we can maybe find an opening. We're going to have Marky roam down as well, and it makes it very, very tough to deal with. But I think that's what Karmine Corp are going to have to do today. Get Targamas to cover Alvaro's roams, make sure that Cabo's keeping Marky honest in lane, and making sure they can't get the scores that you're seeing on your board right now.
And that's why I think it's going to be interesting for Movistar Riders, because they always have been ahead. What is going to happen if they fall behind? Can they overcome KC in that sense? Because when you look at Corp and how they ramped up throughout the tournament so far, they threw a lot of games, Yamato, in the early phases of the tournament. But how did they fix their issues, you think?
I think just the key thing is that they've been very good at stabilizing the game. In terms of how they manage waves later on in the game, they manage to stabilize leads. Even if they die bot, they know how to convert the Rift Herald to make sure that the right people get gold. And I think in terms of macro, they've been the sharpest at this tournament.
And have also been tried in a best of 5, right? Especially versus GO. They pushed them to the limits. It came all the way to a game number 5 where a team, and that was K-Corp, had to win on red side, and it hadn't happened for the entire series, and KC pulled it off. I feel like when it comes to Movistar Riders and going 6-0 through the entire tournament, have you been pushed to your limits? And if so, have you managed to learn how to adapt if you do get pushed to these limits?
Yeah, and I think that's where, especially because we have seen that adaptation from Karmine Corp, like as Yamato was kind of highlighting, the way they set up around the, like, they're not tossing at Baron like they did against Matchko, right? They're actually setting up properly for objectives. They're playing well in team fights. They're playing to their composition strengths. I've seen the adaptation for Karmine Corp as we've gone throughout the tournament. Now it's time for Movistar Riders. I mean, look, maybe they do just have that very strong early game, but if that doesn't work, what's the fallback plan? What's plan B?
They also have, I like the fact that Cabo has that cheeky cheat code, which is just put the tanks up and just fix the macro, because in the group stages they look rough, and the main question will be, can they hold back the early game onslaught that Movistar brings to the table?
Which team will come more prep? We will see about this in just a few minutes, but tomorrow, of course, the LEC will continue here live from Sud de France Arena in Montpellier, and we ask our teams to tell us what players we should watch today in today's finals. Let's check it out.
Yeah, I think Kalista, we've been seeing him a lot in solo queue. I think he's really good. He's been pretty high on the ladder for a long time.
I think I would say both the AD carries. I think both Kalist and Supa are playing like very good. Yeah, I played versus Supa, for example, last year in ERLs, and I think he's very good. Same with Kalist, he's like upcoming now. He's like 16, 17 years old, and he's playing very good.
I only focus on the AD carries. I think Kalist and Supa are both really, really good. I think Kalist could be like this new talent prophet, you know, since he's like fresh 17 years old and he's already like playing at the highest level. We scrimed against them as well, and he's pretty good. So
probably the player to look at, or the players to look at in the finals, in my opinion, is probably the bot lane. Kalista versus Supa is gonna be really hyped because they're both like very young still. The people hyped a lot Supa. He's actually playing very good, and Kalista is like the new ADC legend, or like the rookie that's gonna be in Europe. So yeah, pretty hyped about that match.
Yeah, I'm excited for K-Corp's bot lane. I think their AD carry is very promising, you know, and it's some player. Same with Targamas. I don't know how he's not playing in the LEC stage. Those players will be there sooner or later, you know, and you can see it by the way they're playing. Targamas was already there multiple times. Like Kalist is a player I really like. I think he's a very nice guy. He's very talented, it looks like. So young, you know. If he gets developed well, then he can be a very dangerous threat to even Hans Sama.
Wow. A threat to even Handsome, one of the best AD carries over in the LEC. 07, I'll be your temporary host for now. You'll see where Laurie is in a little bit later. But what a surprise. Kalist and Supa, the story of the day. We're expecting somewhere to be fiery. And Isma said, you know what, you'll find me in the bot lane.
Oh, of course. It's the only thing that makes sense. Both of these players, they share characteristics. Kalist coming in, he plays so aggressively, and at the same time, whenever a minor mistake might happen, he's so resilient and always bounces back. This is the hallmark of a player that is going to grow into a fantastic player in the long run because he tries to push his limits.
Yeah, I think when we kind of look at Karmine Corp having that killer instinct in team fights, I'm always keeping my eyes on Kalist. The guy is willing to put himself at that position to make sure that he can step up and carry, like flash under towers, do whatever he needs to. But it's a very similar story for Supa. You can see it, he's picked up pentakills. He's looked absolutely fantastic. And again, it's like positioning like this where he's willing to put himself forward into aggressive positions, catching all the abilities that could potentially catch him out and saying, I don't care, I can outplay this, I can outmaneuver you, I can outclass you. And now he's got it to the main stage of EMEA Masters. And it's these two powerhouse AD carries facing off today that are putting forward their argument for the best AD carry in EMEA right now.
It's huge, it's a big stage. And it's very K-Corp favored, so Supa does have a big work to do in front of him. Guys, can I please ask real quickly for your predictions?
God, it's so hard. And like this game, this could be a 3-0, this could be a 5-game banger. Like these teams are so close, and it feels like momentum's going to mean so much. But even then, I still think I got to give it 3-1 Karmine Corp. It feels like the narrative's too strong. The improvements we've seen, the draft they have, it's just too much to handle.
Honestly, on my end, I have to say, I hear blue, I smell blue, I wear blue. And let me tell you, I also see blue. Karmine Corp, the experience, the history, everything that has gone behind this team, it is too perfect not to happen. It is written in the stones, and the gods will have it only one way. Karmine Corp is going to win it.
Karmine Corp from both of the analysts right here. Thank you very much, guys. We are so close to actually inviting our players on the stage. I'll give a very quick prediction as well. I think it's going to be something like a 3-2 K-Corp, just because we would like to have 5 banger games, like Dagda mentioned. The time is coming, because for the first time, EMEA Masters is joining the LEC on the road. And what an incredible final we have here in Montpellier, France. Hometown heroes, Karmine Corp, the Spanish rivals, Movistar Riders. It's time to kick off the EMEA Masters Grand final.
C'est sûr qu'on ne peut pas se permettre de perdre face à l'Espagne ici à Montpellier, avec surtout tout le public français qui va être là, le public qui nous soutient à la FLICKR.
Desde tiempos antiguos ya llevamos peleando por las RLs y por el EMEA Master.
The front line, trying to keep them all low. The equalizer back isn't the best I've ever seen. Destroy still trying to do some work, taking against the pop block. There goes back against so many. Oh my god, they're doing it anyway. Who needs to make it happen? The Callista is dead.
De pouvoir montrer mon potentiel, montrer à tout le monde que la hype autour de moi c'est pas juste de la hype et j'ai vraiment envie de montrer à tout le monde de quoi je suis capable.
Creo que la gente tiene mucho hype por este partido porque creo que creen que Callista puede ser el futuro. Entonces les voy a demostrar que por qué yo soy el bueno.
Ahora mismo delante de ellos encima en su propia casa va a ser algo que les vaya a fastidiar bastante.
Chupa que se apunta una doble, va a ser una triple, puede ser una cuadra, asesinato cuádruple para Chupa. David Martínez se apunta al...
Je suis là pour représenter la France et remettre l'Europe sur le podium.
Callisto's unstoppable. Into the back of Luke Millie, cannot find the pulverize. A double for
El campeón de la Superliga, Movistar Riders, estará en Montpellier.
Esta es mi oportunidad para demostrarle a todo el mundo de lo que soy capaz.
And they will make themselves a blue wall all the way to Montpellier.
C'est notre moment, on est prêt à entrer dans l'histoire.
Le LEC est fier de vous présenter
LEC
è orgoglioso di presentare
LEC sa ponosom predstavlja.
La LEC se enorgullece de presentar
LEC gururla sunar.
Stolz präsentiert die LEC.
I want it now and I ain't never gonna back down. I want it now and I ain't never gonna back down. I want it now and I ain't never gonna back down. I want it now and I ain't never gonna back down.
Bonsoir Montpellier, j'espère que vous êtes prêts pour la toute première finale des EMEA Masters ici en public entre le champion espagnol et l'équipe la plus titrée des Masters. Mesdames et messieurs, je vous prie d'accueillir sur scène Karmine Corp et Movistar Riders.
Et entrant premier dans l'arène, sur la top lane, le vétéran et capitaine Cabochard contre le nouveau espagnol Marquis. Dans la jungle, le stratège Croft et le très agressif Isma. Sur la mid lane, le triple vainqueur des EMEA Masters, contre le champion Ocean de Frascovie. En ADC, deux prodiges dans leur ligue, le MVP de la LFL, Caliste, contre le monstre Soupa. Et à leur côté, au poste de support, il est revenu dans son équipe de cœur, Targamas, contre le très dangereux Alvaro.
Montpellier, une fois encore un tonnerre d'applaudissements pour vos deux finalistes, Movistar Riders et Karmine Corp.
everybody else. Welcome to the caster desk for your EMEA Masters Summer Grand Final. My name is Quickshot, and I'm joined to the desk by Gulbog as well as Jamada, and I'm going to say it outright. I want the Riders to win after hearing that crowd boo the players in the introduction. This is a gigantic blue wall.
I have seen 6 versus 5s because of a crowd being so one-sided, but this has to be the most absurd crowd I think I have seen practically ever.
I mean, there's only 2 ways today is going to end, either with thunderous applause or with an absolute silent library, because they will not be cheering for Movistar.
Do you know what I love? Both options are going to be fantastic from where we are right now. I'm not sure if you heard it earlier in the broadcast, but the OTP shoutcasters all had predictions. Trayton predicted a 3-0 in favor of Movistar Riders, the only member of the broadcast team to do so. The crowd started chanting, "Traitor! Traitor!" My word, amazing. Okay, look, we can see the players on stage right now. And listen to the crowd cheering with Karmine Corp as they are pumping up the crowd. Now, Jamada, let's turn our attention. Movistar Riders had side selection. They elected red side. This is the team that's come in smashing early games all throughout the knockout stage. You heard the analyst say 6-0. What are you expecting for game 1?
I think it's very interesting that they've gone towards red side just because we've seen such a trend just globally of teams wanting blue so much more. So I think for Movistar, this is going to be about getting counter picks as frequently as they can, especially I think the top side, even though we're going to be talking about the bottom lane a lot tonight, I promise you. I think getting counter picks also for Marquis so they can enable all 3 lanes when possible is likely the reason and the key to success here for Movistar.
It's also going to come down to some of the flex picks we've been seeing. There's some Rel coming in there, down towards the support position or jungle as well, but also just the Talia that will be so pivotal today. One of Isma's most played champions, at least today. I studied his solo queue account. He's been spamming it a lot. So I think that's a flex we need to keep in mind for the mid lane as well, to keep it all the way down to the bottom. But Karmine Corp, I mean, they're happy about this side selection as well. They get blue side, which has been their most preferred side.
And let's talk about the superstar in the bot lane. You heard almost every LEC Pro interview talking about Kalist. We've seen him running the Nila plus the Senna. Will we see it today? It's questions we'll have. We are into draft for game number 1 and straight out the base. Nila Ben, I wondered if it was ban worthy. Immediately Movistar don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, so far from Karmine Corp, we've seen a lot of Tristana bans as well. We've not really seen Seiken played at all whatsoever. But one of Friscawi's weaknesses as well is that we haven't actually seen him play too many of the AD champions either. And Movistar, right, themselves coming through with a Talia ban here, it's actually a big question mark to me. I expected this to be on their side. Maybe Karmine Corp having a Rise ready for it like we saw earlier in their semifinals.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit scared potentially of Seiken's Rise coming out, and also just maybe they know something we don't, right? Maybe that has been K-Corp cooking something up. For Movistar now, I'm expecting, I was actually going to say the Maokai, so there you go, just to remove it, because Syncrof has been leaning on that so much.
Absolutely, it's been just first pick junglers, and with the Rel coming through now as well, Terry is still alive, and something we've seen both Super and Kalist absolutely prioritize whenever they got the chance for it too. Now with the Nila already out of the way, is this something you want to pick up?
Well, immediately out the bat, the Rel, you talked about it, Coolborg. The Renekton's been locked in blind. I want to touch on this LeBlanc pick as well really quickly. It's something that's actually been banned against Karmine Corp. 93% of the games they played in EMEA Masters Summer here. This time they've banned it away themselves. Isma will once again get his hands on that Sejuani. No surprises. It has been one of the favorite picks for both junglers throughout this entire event.
I mean, already very interesting adaptations coming through. Marky's been playing a lot of Renekton, but it's also a takeaway from Kabajah, who's been playing a lot. Now pairing it up with Sejuani, that also sometimes speaks to the fact that you want to be up in that top side as well, fighting them.
Yeah, you can always have the default option, can't you? If things are starting to fail on the bottom side, even though you feel like they likely won't, they will get there towards the end.
And also super quickly, that Azir being locked in. We saw a graphic earlier today how Seiken is called the FLICKR of EMEA Masters, one of his most successful champions. The crowd erupts immediately, and I love the fact that Zeri's now being secured here for Super, and straight out the gate, Kalist banned Kalista. Not going to be playing it this time around.
This is definitely going to give the AD carries an edge on the side of Movistar Riders here. Just the availability for you to take away the 2 strongest AD carry. Nila already out from the first fan base. So is Saya, banned by Karmine Corp themselves. And usually, Kalist was one of the guys that would default to a Saya. It's one of his most played as well, at least in the top 4. But there's still other champions. Aphelios, Kaiser, still available for the bot lane of Karmine Corp.
Yeah, I wonder if they're just going to go down the aggressive ban route though, you know, something like the Draven alongside it, just because you've already got the Rel, very strong 2v2. However, they're going to go towards something more scaling and, you know, very common for Kalist. It will kind of be that, I suppose, mix, right? You can play kill lanes with Kaiser, so I like this removal here. And for Casey, again, you know, Frescawi is predominantly a mage player, so if you see something like a Victor come out here just to remove away that kind of safety, anticipate that as well coming out too.
with it as well. Wonder what their last plan is going to be, because how this draft is shaping up right now, Movistar is just going to fourth pick a mid laner, have that counter pick ready for a seer, allow themselves to open the hand of the rail to see if it's actually a jungler support. And so far, no Alistar has been banned. So if you're to send this rail down into the bot lane, there is a big ace up the sleeve of Movistar Riders then.
They're going to hold R5 for support, surely. They've got the mid lane pick to think about right now. I wonder if it's going to be a melee champ. It's not really anything towards Frescowy. You know, he's playing Azir, he's playing Ahri, things like this. So we'll see exactly what they want. Silas, I mean, it works, right? It's a mage, and it's going to pair up very well with the Sejuani pick.
I mean, when we take a look at that, Frescowy has only got one Silas game played this event. It was a win. And of course, in that support pool, likes of Rakan, Nautilus, Astos, so many champs that we have seen in the past, leaving that as the final pick. I think it's important because all of our prep coming into this, talking about bot lane, all of our anticipation was looking at how Movistar Riders play around their bot lane and also the impact that Killis has. Now we need to see what that support for Yasuo with Senna? What?
Now, the Senna was already a surprise at this tournament. While you might be familiar with Tarkamas and Senna, they hadn't played it all summer. They only brought it out at the EMEA Masters, and now the Yasuo is one extra in this combination.
Movistar are going to have to watch their backs. Rel ult into Yasuo's are going to be a thing throughout this entire game. They're going to need something huge for disengage. Movistar, actually, they're going to go towards the Rakan, so they want to go into this meat grinder potentially. I can respect the aggression wanting to come out. A lot of setup, very, very dangerous player on this bottom side.
Help me understand. This is Kalist's first ever Yasuo. I'm assuming that's going in that bottom lane. Rel in the jungle, Senna in the hands of Tarkamas. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just going to be down there. But I think there's so much about the jungle matchup that has to go into account of the first three waves coming into it. Yasuo does not do too well with a push. Yes, you have the Senna in the background to help you out. But if you get ganked already early into Rakan knock-up, into the Sejuani as well to come through, you're going to have troubles. You can't allow them to snowball super. It has been their main win condition throughout all of playoffs. And you would shut down Karmine Corp's win condition as well in the Yasuo.
Yeah, this is such a strange take from Karmine Corp, but I love it. I love it. It's so out of the blue. Movistar couldn't have been expecting this out of a game one in a best of 5.
Did you hear the crowd's reaction to the Superstar and KC locking in the first time Yasuo? What will Super do against Kalist? That is going to be the question. The coach is on screen right now. We are priming for game number 1 in our EMEA Masters Summer Finals.
LVP versus the LFL. So many times has it triumphed towards the Spanish, but this time Karmine Corp, the face of the LFL, so many times looking to repay.
On home turf with the crowd behind them, it's game 1 of your finals.
Can't see nobody stopping me. If there's a problem, I gotta solve it. Straight to the top, I can't see myself falling. I gotta grab it, there's no time for stalling. Number one feeling, don't have but the options. Now I'm fired up. I'm sorry, brother, your time's up. I see the top and I climb up. I came from the ashes, I rise up.
Sorry, where did they rise up from? I didn't quite hear that. That's what we're going to find out. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else. We do have a very brief pause, and you can feel the tension and the energy here in the room. This is the first time we're seeing this stage. Reminder, tomorrow, Fnatic will be taking on the Mad Lions. I can see a lot of both squads sitting right behind the caster desk, here to watch Karmine Corp take on Movistar Riders. So as we take this moment to catch our breath, Gulborg, listening to the crowd.
I mean, just listen to them sing.
Give me some expectations on how this crowd will either cheer or cry once you look at the straps and see how the early game might play out from your perspective.
I mean, as we already established, you're playing against a 6-man today. See it even when they're getting ready for the games. They're part of the handshakes as well. They're part of the yelling. And now leading on to the rift, Jamada said it. The Super Leaker against the Liga La France. It's time to kick off EMEA Masters final.
And we are in the rift. Kudos to the observation team once again. Beautiful setup. Seeing the logos in the backgrounds. And now Jamada. Okay, help explain this to me, Jamada. As you know, I'm not the smartest at League of Legends, but when I see Karmine Corp's comp, I see a very, very recent type of team composition in terms of the kit, the mobility, and the death ball that it can put together. How early do you think it comes online? Where do we need to be paying attention?
They need their ultimates realistically, right? I think so much of this is going to crutch on that last breath out of Kalist and all of the displacement tools available to Sake and Syncroft. Cabochard as well with the Pathmaker, the W. Don't forget as well, that can be used to ult off of 2. I think for Movistar on the opposite end, it's the solo lanes, right? I feel like you can't really play through a Zeri Rakan. You're going to have to try and get Rakan out of that lane link him up with the Sejuani and move towards a solo lane.
Listen, that would be the logical approach, and I completely agree with you. But any single game I've been watching of the Movistar Riders,
that's the thing.
It's all about pathing into bot side. I mean, Super getting the most attention out of his jungler, out of any AD carry here. It is all about the bot laners.
You want to talk just a little bit some of those stats? I mean, look at this. Damage per minute. You see the teamfight KDA, the impact they have. We are anticipating Super to get love and attention, and combine that with the fact they're playing into a Yasuo Senna. If that gets ahead, it becomes terrifying.
Yeah, you have to imagine something like Yasuo Senna. It's got to be a very volatile lane. If it starts to fall behind, it's going to be very difficult to get it back and involved in, unless, again, you hit those level 6 marks and you start to feel confident.
You can already see it in the Wards and River, right? Casey, they were anticipating an early gank already from the side of Isma. Started Raptors into blue buff, now on Gromp. Everyone is anticipating someone coming down this early river, and now with a crash through from Karmine Corp, it's going to be interesting to see what Isma is going to do with his pathing.
Keeping an eye on that, sitting in that tri-bush. Also, keep note, no exhaust sitting on the side of the Movistar Riders. Isma can come over this wall with that Arctic Assault, and he does. He's out of vision. Targamas and Kalista don't know. Wait for that big bore body slam. The knockup connects. This is able to slice his way to safety. Flash forward from the bore. The flail is wailing. No stun connected yet. Kalista and Targamas escape with their lives.
Yeah, the thing is, Isma has to go over the wall with the Q. He doesn't commit the flash to do it, so he doesn't have that extra bit of CC, the gap close to make that one work. And Alvaro's W gives Kalista way out.
Yeah, this is huge tempo as well. You can see now Isma is forced to recall. You take a look at the enemy jungler, Syncroft now. He's on the path down towards the bottom lane. There's no visions right now whatsoever for Movistar. They need to get this crash through soon.
Cabo Shard been watching Broken Blade from last weekend. Marky goes for that slice and dice, ends up getting nudged just a little close to the tower. Takes a chunk for his troubles. Pretty even on CS there. Small advantage for Super in that bottom lane. I think as you would expect, especially in the early levels, keep in mind there is a Senna in that lane, and we haven't seen Seiken or Muscovi just yet as they are continuing to trade. So, Isma out the gate. First gank, he manages to get the flash from both Kalist and the heal from Targamas. Costs him his own.
Yeah, let's call it round one because there's more rounds to follow as well. We need to keep track of this, but it's already a huge success for Karmine Corp. They got to crash the lane early, got a bounce back, and now that they have their allied jungler in the back pocket, they can just bring Syncroft down, not necessarily for a gank, but just make sure they can get that push in and get that reset for themselves.
Exactly. It's going to be a nice window just to spend some of that gold that they have picked up in the first couple of waves. And of course, you know, Yasuo, Targamas getting to those first couple of component items, well, very crucial to kind of getting them over that hump towards the first item.
And we saw there Syncroft clearing out the Skull Crab on the bottom. Wondering whether he wants to fancy and sort of move. If Super and Alvaro step forward, there may be an opportunity, but you can already see Syncroft's backed away. It's a little bit of a trade there under the tower. And thus far, it's Isma and the Movistar Riders who made the first move. They are a minor amount of gold behind, thanks to that top lane advantage in favor of Movistar right now. And take a look at this. Under the tower, teleport coming in for Cabo. Do they fancy a dive?
Absolutely
I don't think so.
Absolutely
no,
not.
don't think so.
This is just how the matchup go. You often see the Renekton as well take Conqueror just to look to push in the lane. Get that plating down just for yourself. And most of the time, the top laners will be isolated, despite of the fact we're seeing a Sejuani and Rakan, not Rakan, but the Renekton. Just because there's that Rakan for setup in the bot side that you want to play towards, and just straight out the gate. You can see Syncroft now does have cams respawning on the top side, but he's moving down towards the bottom side. And Movistar Riders, they might not be expecting this gank approach.
I mean, look at Movistar Riders pushing this wave a little bit. Super was stepping forward. He's currently using that sweeping blade to move through the minions, and both junglers are in the area. Jamada, the knockup won't connect. Alvaro's going low. Forced to fly to safety. May need to flash. Ignite's thrown out. The exhaust won't catch Super, but Alvaro's stunned. First blood to France, to Karmine Corp in Montpellier.
Yeah, and it all comes from the creative play and pathing of Syncroft. You can see the top cam. They were alive. They anticipated he was going to be up there. Instead, he takes the direct approach to the bot lane, and that gives them an edge. They are there before Isma, and that's why they win the skirmish.
And that's the worst part. Isma has the correct read. He's on the right side of the map, but he's just not here in time. And punishment comes through. Alvaro just has to sacrifice his life. He sacks it, acknowledges that he's not going to get out of this one. The sticking power between Kalist and Targamas is just simply too much.
And just a bit too early as well from Alvaro. They expect they can take the 2v2. They're not expecting the enemy jungler. They know they have Isma just clearing their own camps in their blue side quadrant. But in the end, it's just not enough. They get overextended on it.
And look at the minimap. Karmine Corp hunting there. Wilborg, number of members moving towards the middle lane. Kalist left alone in the bottom lane. Kill was secured by Targamas. For now, at least, a numbers advantage for the Riders.
Now, this is one thing I'm going to be really curious about, because in the quarterfinals and the semifinals, Movistar had a very, very low priority on taking early dragons. It often took almost 10 minutes for a dragon to go down in some of their games. I'm curious about what they're actually going to do with the Dragon Test series, especially considering how volatile this bottom lane matchup is.
Yeah, just looking at the top side right now, already priority for Marky. He was thinking about moving down, just getting the honey fruit, getting back to lane as well, but that could have been one of the things we often see from Adam. When you have a TP advantage as a top laner, you push top lane in, you group around Drake, and then you TP to the top lane after, because it's not unleashed just yet.
Well, Alvaro's wings have not been clipped yet. He didn't use the flash in that bottom lane. Remember members of Karmine Corp trying to challenge for him. Do you think we have a moment to talk a little bit about the early games from how these teams have changed? It may not look like the case because Jamada, you might get an answer here. A potential challenge around Dragon, neither team's committing for it.
Yeah, again, I feel like Karmine Corp, the level 6s are starting to come online, right, between the solo lanes. Just hold on a minute, Super.
Dashing forward, Wind Wall will at least force Super to use that spot just to get away to safety, but you can feel the threat already with just the Berserker's Greaves.
Good dash from Isma here, he should be able to get out just alive, but yeah, you're right. Getting that Yasuo ahead early is pivotal. One of the main win conditions, but also the fact that you shut down Super. Movistar Riders usually find their win condition playing through their AD carry, and quite generally, we haven't really seen them come back because they've been ahead in every single game that they've won.
Yeah, I mean, I'll show numbers in just a moment, but I love the fact, by the way, talking about Kalista and the impact it's going to have, the number of options for that last breath, to our final breath to actually have the impact. Bear with me for a few seconds, because both of these teams during the group stages of the EMEA Masters struggled a little. They both went 3-3, and you can see how Karmine Corp actually looked better in the early game. This will have a very different story once we move to the knockout stages, and I'm going to come straight back to you, Goldborg. What do you make of how these changes, and especially how these first 8 minutes have played out? Because Movistar Riders, they dominated their quarters and semi-finals.
It's a story much like their own Super League. They got knocked down in the upper bracket, fell down in the lower bracket, and had to fight their way all the way to finals there as well. And it was through Super in the knockout stage of the EMEA Master that they finally found their footing. He was struggling in the group stage, only finding Winston Kaiser. Then suddenly he brings out the Seri, and they continue to win and win and win. And that right there has been the main win condition. It doesn't look like it right now, though.
Won't be this game, it seems like, as more pressure keeps on mounting. But I agree with you so much, and not only the number support, they've said it themselves throughout spring. They're like, hey, we are not a good best of one team. Bring us to the best of fives, we'll step it up a notch, and they have so far this tournament.
They have indeed. Take a look at the top of the scoreboard. 1-0 in kills. It's 1,000 gold in the lead for Karmine Corp. Pretty much even CS for top and mid. Small lead in this bottom lane thanks to the kill. But Isma wants one back. Cabo can go all out. Can use the flash. Taxis through the ball. Dashes across. The prison goes wide. And Isma, you need to take notes, my friend, because it's Karmine Corp escaping.
And he sacrificed the Herald for this as well. He wanted the top lane play for it, but now bottom side.
Oh, Super's in trouble. No flash, no knocked out. The final breath. The spark is out. The Super survives. Super stays alive. Talking about this. One more auto. The heal. The tower shot. His target down. Super goes superhero.
Yeah, they still have vision here. You can see Fresco is on the way down. Don't know how long Kalista's going to stay around here. He could have fake information from the mid lane.
Wars using the sweeping blade, dashing forward. 2 minions used, trying to stack it up. They need that wind wall. Has just become available. Doesn't get the knockup. Dashes forward, avoids the change, using the entire minion wave, and finally the kill will be secured. One lost hit is all that's needed. Finally taken down by Friscoa. Movistar Riders are now on the aggressive. Taken, throws out the Emperor's Divide. Marky and Isma running for their lives. The Sand Soldiers, they want to conquer and shift the sands in favor of Karmine Corp. Flashes are out! Another to the Faker of EMEA Masters!
Listen to the crowd, and can you blame them? Movistar, they miss out on the Herald the first time. They go for the top play. It doesn't work out. They go for the Herald. They get the Herald, but they don't get to pick it up because Movistar, Seiken shoves them off it. It's just going from bad to worse, and Karmine Corp are winning at almost every angle.
Yeah, it's skirmishes again. I mean, the bright side here is that Marky did pick up the Rift Herald, so they didn't lose out fully on this one. But the tempo advantage as well, had to put Super into the mid lane. They're still getting the push here. Kaliska now can collect the bot lane. They're back to even states.
Yeah, but listen, zoom out for a brief second, because when you take a look at the overall gold, overall kills, the itemization, it actually is currently Movistar Riders in the lead in terms of completing those big objectives. But GP, take me through this fight here as it went so good for KC.
Yeah, I mean, it's curious as well. They've just used a lot of their tools in the topside skirmish where they did not find the kill, so that's already 2 ultimates down. So Seiken move in first here, with Frescoa just being bot lane. It is an interesting approach from Movistar, and they end up paying out for it as well.
They're going to come out of the replay, straight into action.
Skirmish.
Blast Cone sends Alvaro over the wall. Targamas sidesteps the chains for now. And just to hijack that Senna ultimate. Synchron's in trouble. The hijacked Senna will fire back, traded forward. Alvaro throws down the quickness. It's enough for Synchron to be taken out. But here comes Seiken. Gets another. Super force the flash. The Sand Soldiers are putting the work in, but Super survived. Used the entire mobility. Isma over the wall. Shaken force to flash. Turn their attention over to Kalist. Gets the knockup. The breath is final for one more kill. 3-3 in Karmine Corp favor.
And these skirmishes get so messy. But it's game one as well, but they're so aggressive in terms of finding an outplay potential. The W won't be enough, but it's close. But Karmine Corp once again winning out on it. And it's small leads, but it's also the momentum. Every single play that goes wrong for you as Movistar riders here, with the crowd cheering behind you, that has to mean something in comps too.
All this as well was likely for Dragon. A nice collapse, but Marky.
That's still got that dominance available to him, despite the fact it was pulled back by Cabo. All out does not do it enough. All right, slow this down. 9 to 9 in levels from mid laners, both of whom got their first big ticket items. Because Kalist went for those Berserker's Greaves, still a little behind the damage front. And are we looking from Chicken's perspective here? I'm uncertain for the time being. So just kind of jump back to live, and he's going to rejoin the fight here against FLICKR. I mean, GB, pretty even. And as far as containing the Movistar riders in playoffs, this is the closest it's been for a number of games.
Oh, absolutely. They usually run away with all their skirmishes, but you can see it. They're happy to play the high-tempo gameplay. They often like to skill check their opponents. It often works out for them. But against an opponent like Karmine Corp as well, you can see that it's not the same caliber as well they've been playing against. The bracket has been a bit different leading to it, I think. I'd say.
Not only is it just the caliber, but also I feel like this draft from Movistar so far, it's not really enabling the strength that we've seen from them throughout the quarters, throughout the semis. Trying to lock down a bot lane like this with Rakan Sejuani, it's a difficult ask, right? The wind wall as well is going to stop that Sejuani ult more times than it doesn't for the chain CC. Saken's going to slide out of this, he's all right. And it just feels like Movistar, they're not able to play through their strengths right now, the solo lane, the top lane, and they have not been able to play through the bottom side because of the draft.
It's just not connecting, right? These skirmishes could be good. The ultimate was available for both the Rakan and the Sejuani, but once again, they're not throwing it out. And with the initial W not landing, they're just not willing to commit on it either.
Okay, let's talk about this Dragon. Has not been a priority, really. Ultimately as well, neither bot lane has really been able to stamp authority on the game. It's swung back and forth, so that might play into effect. And both teams willing to set up these engages in and around the jungle. They want to fight one another as opposed to playing for the neutral. And let's see who's going to get control now as Super, as that ghost available, may need to spark over the wall. Isma connects. Bird is the word. Empress Divide is stolen, hijacked, and it's a free kill for Frescoe.
Very lovely from Frescoe. He comes in there to interrupt the dash. If not with the ultimate, then at least just with his body. But they lock the kill down. Takes a lot of resources though. Maybe this does get the priority for Drake. They go in once more.
Quickness and a grand entrance indeed. Zap, zap, zap! The steal, the fire back, and it's Super taken out in a 2v4. It may end up being a 1-for-1. Targamos escaped with his life.
But just the fact that they trade 1-for-1 there is amazing. You still waste time now. You don't have the same priority for the Drake. You can't just start it up like you thought earlier. So it still buys K-Corp some time with death timers.
All right, let's talk about these top laners. Frankly, this is the biggest island I've seen in a
long
long time.
They'll continue to exist.
Give it about 10 minutes, they'll show up, I promise. But right now, they are just having a staring contest.
All right, look, they've both got teleports available. There is a minor advantage to the fact that Marky has got that CS lead and already picked up the Mythic. We'll see Seiken being taken down in just a moment, and I caught a glimpse here of the Dragon being secured. Looked like Karmine Corp. I mean, beautiful play, and I just love this turnaround, Jamada.
Yeah, turnaround was excellent. Timing is great for Targamas on the Ulma as well. Knows to pull the trigger early so that Ulma can connect. The engage comes through from Alvaro, and it's not bad to be fair, but Isma's just a little bit too far away. I think distracted by a ward perhaps, but here we go. Last breath into that center ult. Just about almost don't have the damage, but thankfully Targamas' ult comes through.
I mean, Kalist is just making the most out of every single play. Even if he's overextended, you know he's going to skill check it. You know he's going to get a favorable trade. And now Turret as well with Marky just alone there, taking down the first one.
Yeah, completely alone. They're existing, GB. I think that's a great word. What I will say is, first of all, kudos. You talked about how the bottom lane is going to be so impactful. Marky and Cabo continue to trade. I think both can get away from this potential fight. We have seen almost all of the action focused around these two bot laners. 4 assists, 5 kills, like 4 to 5, 5 out of 5 for both teams. Dragon has obviously been picked up, and now we need to see how they utilize these bot lanes to push the pressure forward. The question I want to see is now, Movistar, for the first time in the summer knockouts. They got an even footing past the 15 minutes. Super is not phenomenally massively far ahead. So how do they compete toe-to-toe, especially knowing it's a non-traditional comp with the Yasuo?
I mean, we've seen it already. A lot of it has been execution. I think they need to wait just for Super Splash to come up alive here, because if that's available for him, then you have outplay potential against the Nasia, against the Yasuo. Without it though, it's like shooting dog for Karmine Corp.
But not only that, Isma and Alvaro have to be together. We haven't really seen them sync up properly just yet. Karmine Corp seem a little bit eager to try and get this Herald started up, or perhaps they're trying to bait Movistar into a fight, but Super. Cabo almost finds a knockback.
Yeah, Rift Herald number 2 was used, all out. Super gonna get tagged up by that Dawning Shadow. Friscawi's stolen. Salty ultimate, Cassante ultimate himself. Marky waiting in the wing. Dominus not available. Knocked up, and Ricard Alvaro is down. Isma forced a flash. They were together, Jamada, but it didn't work out this time around.
No, not this time around, because KC, they've got the meat grinding comp. As soon as someone gets knocked up, they can just burst that target out. They dump all of their almost into Alvaro. He cannot move. He gets picked off, and now this is just a free Herald. That numbers advantage here for Karmine Corp. And you take a look at the minimap, Movistar aren't really getting too much for this. Frescawi's getting a little bit of free time on the bottom side. That's just about it. I doubt he's going to get the full tower. I feel like Cabo should potentially be able to get in here and just clean this one up.
Yeah, but you can see the pressure that Cabo shot applies already in a team fight like that. It looked like Movistar was panicking just a bit as soon as he was on Super. Super dodged out on it, but he ended up taking the Silas ultimate on the Cassandra, which is not the best. Every single other ultimate just get thrown out. Surely there's not a solo kill out of nowhere. He's just going in. Kalist!
That is exactly what Karmine Corp want to see. 2, 2, and 4. And I'm starting to realize the beauty of this composition. Because even if they throw the meat grinder at Movistar Riders and lose one in the process, in the ensuing skirmishes, this death ball, Cassante, Rel, Azir, they just keep coming at you. It's unrelenting. And you can see the pressure building. It is still dead even in gold, but it feels like Karmine Corp are taking complete control. The tower falls in the middle lane. First of the game, and they immediately peel back towards the river.
You're so right, Trevor. Even though, you know, Karmine Corp, they're barely ahead. Realistically, they have so much control of this game just because Movistar, specifically the carries like Super, Frescavi, they have to be careful of getting displaced once into a last breath from Kalist and being bursted out. So they can't really freely play the game, and even if they try and clump up, that's the worst thing that you can do, trying to be there as a 5 in so many of these cases, just because Karmine Corp will pull the trigger instantly.
Yeah, you see the replay here again. This is just Cabo shot almost alone, 1 versus 4 members coming in. And the ultimates just get used and disengaged. Nothing is applied here together. Sejuani ultimate buys you nothing. Alvaro, overstep, does still have his ultimate, trying to dash out into the tornado, and he's just instantly dead. It's just not connecting in the skirmishes.
And when you see that ultimate connect, can you feel the energy of this crowd here, Montpellier? 7,000 fans packed in, and they are believing in what KC are doing. Right, the map is starting to open up now. With 2 towers to 1, you see a lot of movement around and KC grouping up.
Listen, I'm so glad you're bringing this up, Trevor, because the scariest part about Karmine Corp in the knock-up stage was never actually their early game. They would go even or maybe 500 plus up, but it was once we came into the mid to late game, when the objectives started spawning, they are scary around their setups and the way they play it out. Now they're coming into the mid game already with a 1k gold lead, with the skirmishes going in their favor. And it's not been territory where Movistar Riders has been thriving in a deficit.
And it's territory they're going to have to tread very carefully. Because frankly, like you say, their mid-games have been, at times, I think, lackluster. Left a lot to be desired. And that's when they have leads. So
yes.
Right now, they're going to have to get a little bit creative. Because again, you know, the ways to engage on this composition so difficult with the amount of disengage tools available to Karmine Corp as well.
And look at this, Synchro from the flank, level 10. Magnet Storm's available.
TP coming through as well.
Is up as well, making their way back down towards the river. Marky waiting in the silence, level 13. Dominus may be needed. Synchro goes forward. The final breath is used. The Croc is the target. The Empress divides buying time. Taken has done it for the squad, but a lot was invested. Karmine Corp didn't find the kills. Friscawi, he's stolen his ears. Empress divide. Let's see if the chains will connect. Dragon down, 3,000 hit points. The first was secured by KC. Final shadow is fired across all of the Movistar Riders. Friscawi is golden. The first kill to Cabo of the game. Manages to take down Friscawi. The Dragon helping out the second to Seiken. It's done. The Riders are running. They've been wrecked. They've been ruined. And the Sand Soldiers set up another.
It looked like for a moment that maybe Karmine Corp would struggle without those ultimates from jungle, mid, and bot, but frankly, they didn't give a damn. They just run straight into the hands of Movistars, and they take out all the key targets as they run into them as well.
You're completely right. That was the fight where Super had to outplay it. He still had his own ultimate. We're looking to see if he could find a play. In the end, the Riders are on retreat, and with Baron up, and 3 members still dead of Movistar Riders, this should just be Karmine Corp picking it up.
Beautiful re-engage after the whiff onto Marky. That's what we are highlighting a little early in terms of this composition. But it also feels a little bit to me, the Movistar Riders are panicking a touch. They were trapped, they still stuck around, committed to that dragon, and got punished for it.
I mean, you can see it in the way that this fight starts, right? Or not even in the start, because they got dissected in the beginning. A lot of ultimates have been thrown out. And Friscawi, he's looking for the play, but he's not really finding much. It's only an ultimate onto Synchro.
I think this is just down to the positioning of Karmine Corp, because they're so spread out that Friscawi never really has an opportunity to find more than a two-man ult at best. And I think that, realistically, Karmine Corp, as soon as they see Friscawi going, they're able to just pick off one after the other, front to back.
And it looked like they might have been able to kill Kalista in that skirmish, but he's just playing so well around his wind wall. As soon as he gets stunned out, he's already stashed over, and Zuba's just left to retreat.
And listen to that crowd. Obviously, they very hugely favor
I can't help but hear him, buddy.
The truth is, nobody's surprised to hear that. With 2 dragons under their belt, 5 members of the
here we
Riders
go
forward! The grand entrance followed by the quickness, but look at the turnaround. Super, he's got one, immediately replied. Seiken gets one, followed by Kalist. Now Super's forced to dash and run for his life, holding on to the flash. You will be needing that, my friend, because you're about to get slashed and cut down by the superstar bot laner. Listen to Montpellier scream. Super's escaped. Ultra Shock Laser. It's bot v bot. And while that's happening, Seiken is taking Movistar's base, pushing that inner mid turret.
I feel like we might be wasting time a bit here. He's probably going to dash over a wall soon. Maybe Synchro.
It's time for
Shattering Strike into the knockup. Sweeping Blade.
There he goes.
Dash over the wall. Ding, 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 left. Ding, 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 ding. Kalist gets another.
And it's not like there was a lot of neutral objectives for you to take anyway, but that fight in general, that is desperation for Movistar Riders, at least in this game 1.
It just feels like we give these guys an inch. Take the whole damn thing. And I mean, like you say, it's desperation. They have to try and find something. They find Targamas barely, but then the gravity well with the last breath.
And I mean,
it's just so much wombo.
Initially, it's a good engage, but it's just in a position where you're far behind. You utilize so much just to kill the support. And there's still so many members alive. Even looking at the build of Kalist, he's not gone towards a full hyper carry. He's sitting there with the Glacial Fist.
He doesn't need to, because look at how much damage is on his side. With the Cassante, the Senna, the Azir. Look at the damage dealt out the course of this. I mean, frankly, Synchro and is the only member that's not expected to do damage, right? The rest of the squad can clean it up. But what I think is a little more important, of the 13 kills for Karmine Corp, 10 of them Synchro, 9 of them Seiken, and they're grouped up once more, easily securing their 14th of the game. Another tower. Isma shut down before even getting out that glacial prison. And the Movistar Riders are being pushed back into their base, pushed back onto their inhibitor turrets. And I don't think they'll be able to hold it against these Baron and Power minions.
Over the eye. Synchro's over the wall.
There's a Shattering Strike. Marky running for his life. The blue wall stands tall. The inhibitor will fall. Another broken base and nearing 10,000 gold in the lead. The favorites here in France. Absolute control. Woo, that was close.
They're buying themselves time here. Karmine Corp gonna retreat off the Genghis inhibitor, but the question is, how much time is Movistar really buying for themselves? Oh, they're still looking.
Gets Alvaro into the wall, forces out the quickness. The sands are conquered and shifted. The shadow is dawning. And it's Movistar looking like game 1 is done, dusted, and finished. Friscawi is down, Kalist with another! Seiken! With the scoop and the dunk! Another kill setup! Karmine Corp are dominating the fight.
It's a rampage. It's a complete rampage. Karmine Corp, they've routed Movistar in game 1. It took barely anything but these engages and re-engages from Synchro, from Seiken, and the follow-up time and time again from Kalist has just been phenomenal.
Nexus is the next target. 3 members of the Riders are standing. Make that 2 for now. Another kill secured in just a moment. It's Seiken going unstoppable. Cavo gets another to boot. The Nexus turrets are falling, and in 25 minutes, we're saying Yasuo bot lane. Karmine Corp strike first. This tower will fall in just a moment, and listen to this crowd roar.
And it is KC that strikes first. We were worried about the Nidalee. He got banned away. Now there's a Yasuo with the Senna. And sometimes they ban the Senna, but then they pick the Nidalee with a Rakan instead. And they're just bringing so much flexibility, not just from the draft, also from their play pattern in this game 1, because the early game was usually where we saw Movistar Riders take the lead. Not this time around, though.
Keep in mind, it was the Riders picking red side. It was the Yasuo blue side 4th pick there for Kalista. Went 7-11. First professional game ever in front of this crowd. And they made it work. That scrappy style of play worked in their favor. I think, Shimada, you highlighted the Dragon priority or lack thereof. And we saw that coming in later. Not that it would have had a significant impact, but you could feel the bloodthirsty game. It leaned in Karmine Corp's favor.
Yeah, it did. And I feel like not only did it lean in Karmine Corp's favor, but then because on the opposite side, Movistar have that kind of similar composition where they can permanently skirmish on the top side, they're never able to actually utilize it. It was all being drawn down towards the bottom side, the attention by Karmine Corp. And I feel like, for me, ISMA, a whole bunch of Movistar riders, they were distracted about just the volatility and the general, what do you do about Yasuo?
It felt like they were a bit panicky to me.
No, I mean, it definitely turned out like that, but I also think Syncroft did what no jungler had been able to do in the knockout stage against ISMA, and that was outpath him. He was there in the bot lane before ISMA was. You can even see it in the way the Movistar bot lane was playing. They thought they had the comfort of jungler in the back. Syncroft was already in front of them, and it was too late. Those early kills is definitely what's haunted them, at least in the first game.
That is the first game that the Movistar Riders have lost in the knockout stage this EMEA Masters summer. Now, we'll have side selection once again, but I think what it matters a little bit more to me is that we all knew the game was going to be bot lane. We all knew that it was going to be a lot of gank, a lot of pressure. The Yasuo was a surprise. Now I think I want to see Movistar. They felt this crowd. They felt the boos. They need to calm down and reset and figure out what their answer is. Both, what do they ban? Does Nila get banned again? Does Yasuo get banned again? And how do they clean up that early game play?
I think earlier priority on bot lane is the immediate thing for me. It might seem a little bit strange because then you're giving the opportunity, obviously, for Karmine Corp to pick into what they see.
Yeah.
But I feel like this kind of situation where you land on Zeri, you land on Rakan, these are not champions that you can very easily play around if you land on a jungler like Sejuani as well. So I think trying to early prioritize some picks which are just, lower threshold of execution to play around is probably the easiest way, at the very least, to try and get out of this game on hold. Because you look at Yasuo in game 1,
it was great.
You have to be shook.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for guiding me through this first game. We hopefully have more to come. But now I think the analyst desk is ready to break down that post-match. So I say back to Law and the gang.
Thank you so much, Quick Shot. Back to us here at the desk. It is Karmine Corp playing in France, and you can feel it, guys. Absolute domination for game 1.
I mean, they went full anime. They got the Yasuo on the ball, and I was like, what the hell is this? Immediately, we were sitting together, and all I heard was, oh, where the two of us? The second that was locked in.
But that's the thing. When you look at the Yasuo bot lane, I'm surprised, but I'm not shocked coming on the side of K-Corp. And I feel like we're going to have a champion pool DP on the side of the bot lane if Karmine can play champions like this. But guys, talk me through the draft. What you think of Karmine's priority when it comes to what we said in the pre-show and what we anticipated to happen, Yamato?
I think in my end, right, we have the tank junglers that just want to be level 3 both side. They can be very, very effective in the game. We have classics for the mid laners. It's like I could talk about all these boring picks that they picked in the 1, 2, 3, but it's all about the Yasuo Senna. Yasuo, very strong into Zeri, good with the wind wall as a counter. Very difficult to play against the Renekton Sejuani, but I like the adaptation of going a little bit tankier after the Kraken Slayer.
I feel like after the best of 5 with GOKC, I realized that they need Syncroft on a very strong facilitating champion, and if they leave him for over the 3 picks, a lot of them will be gone. So good stuff that they got that rel first. But I just want to say from Movistar Riders, very predictable. A lot of their games have been around Renekton, Sejuani, and Zeri, and I was actually really surprised to not see ISMA playing towards the top side of the map and ignore that Yasuo Senna.
I 100% agree, but I think it's the parts that are actually different than the usual that actually stand out to me, and it's Frescovi going for the Silas here. I don't think it's the best of picks, but I also think it kind of highlights a problem, that is that Frescovi doesn't have the best of champion pools for the current meta. I'm not the biggest fan of the Tristana, not these kind of things, but now he's getting put into a bit of a pinch.
Yeah.
But we're also seeing these pocket picks, like in that bottom lane, with the Senna, with now the Yasuo coming out, that I think caught Movistar completely off guard.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And we've talked about Karmine leading the pace in the early game, and how would Movistar be able to answer here, but I realized that whenever Movistar were trying something like that, it was always Karmine fighting back and just taking the lead in the end.
And that's the hardest part here, is that we could see Movistar going for what they like to do, right? We are going to play to group up in River. We're going to try and group up on the invades as well. But we see that first Rift Herald fight at 8 minutes. Oh, we actually don't get the Rift Herald coming across from Movistar, because even though Marquis secured it, They got pushed out, they got the kill for Targamas. Then you look towards the bot lane, they want to go for a gank. Well, actually, Kalist has this fantastic turnaround play on the Yasuo and wins that one for them. Then they go for the invade, and Targamas and Kalist turned that around. Everything that Movistar tried to do, the bot lane said, no, get the hell out of here, we want nothing to do with it.
I think that was very reminiscent of 2021 Targamas, where it's literally, you open your closet, he's there. You open your fridge, he's there. You look under the bed, he's there. A little bit scary, but he's still there. And I feel like they brought out the Nilla Senna, and it became a problem, right? Because at the back of your mind, you need to think, when you leave bot lane for 4 or 5 for K-Corp, you're like, okay, I'm getting ready for that Nilla Senna, I have it in mind. But then they throw out the Nilla, they put the Senna with a melee champion. Then in the next game, they can put in the Nilla in with a completely different support other than the Senna. So this becomes extremely problematic, and I'm really happy to see this in game number 1, because for the first time in knockouts, Movistar needs to problem solve.
I mean, Karmine came ready and innovating once again. We'll touch a bit on game 2 after this and see what we can plan on the side of Movistar Riders for them to combat. But Yamato, it all came down to objectives and river fights here. And once again, it feels like it was just K-Corp's world.
I think the crucial thing is, like, the scary thing was, can they go toe-to-toe with Movistar in the early game? Because there was not a single game in the knockout stage where Movistar Riders were actually in the deficit. And coming into this matchup, we saw the ganks on the bottom side. We talked about the bot lane too. But when it came to going blow for blow, punch for punch, K-Corp was so sharp at making sure grouping at the right timings and expecting Movistars to bite back, and they were there, and they stood tall, and they were ready for it, and they stood their ground.
Where do you feel like Movistar missed the mark, maybe, when it comes to just coming back on their feet, maybe coming back in mid-game, or do you think they just couldn't do it with the tools they had here?
I think it was a bit of the tools was the issue. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Rakan. I actually, like, Yamato kind of highlighted it when we were in the game beforehand. But I think the fact you could see Alvaro was just struggling to get onto Kalist. Every single time the engage came through from Rakan in the early stages, he'd eat through him, look very stylish, walk away, slam up to take notes and be fine. I think coming back, you have to try and find an easier way to try and engage in that bot lane. Because I think the biggest problem was, well, Targamas was free to roam. They couldn't get onto Kalist in any of these fights. He was having a fantastic game in the Yasuo. And then as well, even when you found like the opportunities where they found a pick on Seiken in the mid lane, they were like, oh, we can set up for our first dragon in 15 minutes. They try and go bot lane, it all falls apart. It's about trying to find that cohesive moment that you can then pounce and continue snowballing. It's just that every single time Karmine Corp were ready for them this time.
And you mentioned the dragon. I want to take a look at the second dragon of the game, because for me, this was the last nail in Movistar Riders' coffin, Yamato, and you can't really come back after a play like this.
It was just everything started from before, where all of the cooldowns were blown. I think it's so cool to see Karmine Corp being so aware of their situation, darting in and out and playing around cooldowns and finding the right opportunity to strike. This is what team fighting is about, and K-Corp in the first game just showed the high level of class and elegance.
And I feel like it's a little bit difficult to play these fights, being on such a huge deficit when there is a Yasuo and a Senna. This is why I'm like, hey, go back to the drawing board. And I really hope that Movistar are going to go back to the drawing board and choose blue. Because I feel like for Skoe, you mentioned being on the Silas. For me, it's a no-go. You need that priority. For example, with the Thalia that he used to play, but then they have to ban it because they were red.
And that's the thing. They won't go blue. They're staying red, same sides. So for me, it feels like they have something going. They want to keep on going with this. But we've been talking about the fact that they went undefeated in the knockout stage. What happens now that they're falling? Can they jump back on their feet? And can they find the solution when it comes to playing from behind? Because for me, it feels like this time around they didn't.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of options for them. Like, they went for Renekton, Sejuani, Zeri in those first rotations. I think going for a comfort pick for Frescovi in the early stage is going to work out significantly better for them, make sure he's going to be okay. And then also just, I think, better rotation on the support. Like, I just think that Rakan couldn't really do a huge amount here. Yamato was kind of saying maybe the Alistair. I think just something that's a bit more reliable in that bot lane is going to work out.
I think a crucial thing as well when you think of a best of 5, how it develops, them running into that Senna Yasuo, this is something that can only happen once. Sure, you have to dry out your resources by banning it 4-5, but you have to see, now they are being educated, they see what they need to ban 4-5. Most likely Senna is not going to come through, and that is where the adaptation will follow, because Zeri, Renekton, Sejuani on this patch is a fantastic 1-2-3, but K-Corp just had this extra little spicy sauce.
And for now, the Blue Wall strikes first here in Sud de France Arena in front of the huge French crowd. Let's see how Movistar Riders adapt to the atmosphere right after the break.
Forced to fly to safety, but he needs a flash. Ignite's going out, the exhaust broke out super, but Alvaro's stuck. First blood to France, to Karmine Corp. The sands in favour of Karmine Corp. Flashes are out. A brother to the faker of EMEA Masters.
Yeah, we're in this. I need to base. Remember when Nick is low?
Hold on, we end up taking the Silas ultimate on the